What's up, guys? It's Dakota, and today we're going to be going over another spoiler from Ikoria. And this one is a new Planeswalker that actually got spoiled, the third and final one in the set. We got to see a new Vivian Reed. We got to see, I can't remember what the other guy was, but he was kind of sweet. But now we're actually have a Planeswalker, another returning Planeswalker to, I guess, the arsenal of Planeswalkers that are legal and standard, and that is Narset of the Ancient Way. She's back to being Jeskai colors. Obviously, she was Jeskai in Khans, and then she was Azorius in the Dragons of Tarkir. Went to mono blue, and then has now gained back her other two colors. So we finally come full circle. So what does she do? She is a one blue, one red, one white, and one generic for a 4 loyalty planeswalker that with a +1 puts her up to 5 loyalty. You gain 2 life, and you can add a blue, a red, or a white to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast non-creature spells, to cast a non-creature spell. -2, draw a card, and then you may discard a card. When you discard a non-land card this way, it deals damage equal to its converted mana cost to target creature or player. -6 is you get an emblem with whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this emblem deals 2 damage to any target. So, really, uh, where do I think this can see play? Like, how good is Narset? And I think this card's actually pretty decent when you go about it. So I think for some of the older formats, like where we have some really powerful like 1 mana spells that are more so non-reactive, obviously like adding mana with Narset's ability doesn't really help with like casting like counter spells and things like that. But like getting to +1, gain 2 life, and like adding a red to be able to cast like lightning bolt or like red elemental blast, or white for like oust or path to exile, blue for something like brainstorm or ponder. After you tap out for this planeswalker, it gets to its ultimate pretty fairly quickly. Obviously, basically in 3 turns, like take up ultimate. You get a emblem that deals 2 damage to any target. Can help control the board. Can obviously go your opponent's face if it needs to. Can kill your own creatures if you somehow get some value out of it, and things like that. Um, but of course, like a lot of these planeswalkers are judged and are pretty good if they do one of two things or both things really well, and that's if they can protect themselves and if they can do something really powerful, or if they have like a lot of loyalty to start out. So I guess really 3 things. And Narset kind of hits all those things where she comes down on turn 4, and she can go up to 5 loyalty, or she can go down to 2 loyalty and protect herself, or just be a removal spell for like another planeswalker, and kind of get rewarded for playing some cards with like a higher converted mana cost. And some of the other spells that are in the set that have cycling that while like in the late game are good cards to play because they give you a lot of advantage. Like there's one of the uncommons that like is 6 mana, draw 4 cards, sorcery speed, but you can pay 1 mana to cycle it. While it's a card that's like good in the early game, because if you just really need a land, or you just you're not going to be able to really cast this card, maybe the matchup's too fast, you can just cycle it away. You can draw a card, or you can play it for 6 mana and draw 4 cards, or with Narset, it gives it some more utility as like acting like a removal spell that can obviously cantrip, draws you a card, and then discarding it to just dome one of your opponent's like big creatures for 6 damage, take care of one of their planeswalkers, and just like kind of clear off their board and slowly accrue some advantage that way. So actually getting to really like look at her and really talk about her, what can be like a really good shell for this? I think like possibly maybe you can get away with like some Jeskai like Stoneblade type decks where you have like uh, brainstorm, ponder, preordain. You have like your force of wills, some of your force of negations as well. You have like swords in legacy. Some lists playing like path to exile and things like that. Maybe even getting to play like lightning bolt and red elemental blast and pyroblast and stuff like that in like the main board as well. I think any format where 1 mana removal or 1 mana spells in blue, red, or white that make it very huge impact to the board is somewhere where Narset's really going to shine. And while I think in standard you could come up with a you could probably come up with a deck, a decent enough deck in standard to where like you can abuse Narset and just like find ways to like chain a bunch of spells and like win the game with either the emblem or just playing a ton of like powerful spells by like pseudo ramping with like Narset. Um, I think her power level is really going to be shown in modern if the format can slow down by like another turn or two. I think Narset could make like Jeskai control decks uh, at least fairly decent. Again, I know like she's kind of a non-bow with like more counter spells and things like that, but being able to like remove big threats by like discarding like 5 minutes of fairies and like cryptic commands and things like that when they're not good, being able to draw cards, again pseudo kind of ramp you, uh, also gaining life is not totally insignificant in the modern format with all these fast decks and things like that. If you're just like plus wanting to gain 2 life and like maybe casting like a lightning bolt or something like that to remove a creature, you save yourself like you gain yourself more life than what you actually gain, which is something that can really help you as games and stuff go along. And of course, again, like she can just be a win condition as well by being able to just cast a bunch of spells. Like in Legacy, you have like Brainstorm, Preordain, Ponder. You just cast like those spells. You just like you deal 6 damage, and then you also like filter your draws and cantrip enough to where you can start to like really get some advantage going and just start casting like lightning bolts and things like that at your opponent's face rather than trying to like kill off their creatures and things like that. But yeah, that's my evaluation of Narset of the Ancient Way. I would expect her to see play in a lot more of the like the older formats than any of the newer formats. Not a very broken planeswalker by any stretch of the imagination, but very powerful in like the right shells. And while she is probably going to struggle against like the decks that go wide because her minus ability really only deals with like one creature, the fact that it has the versatility of dealing with like planeswalkers and turning those spells that like you don't necessarily want to cycle or you're debating on cycling, just turning them into like removal spells and just being able to deal with problematic like permanents like planeswalkers, maybe like their biggest creature on the board, and then they have to waste a combat attacking it, and then they get in less damage. Uh, is things that definitely add up, especially since like you're obviously not limited to like one copy of Narset. Like you could play like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 copies, and still uh, have like still have a chance to like to reaching her emblem and using her uh, to to the maximum of her ability to essentially like control a game and win the game. But that's my evaluation of Notice of the Ancient Way. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like on it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for more of the Ikoria spoilers that we're going to be seeing in really the rest of this week. And I'm gonna coming soon of like cards I think we'll see probably the most play in like the Eternal formats like Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, things like that. So be on the lookout for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are enjoying spoiler season, and I'll see